Good evening, everybody, and thank you again for joining our third episode of Capoeira in Detroit. And what we chose for today's topic. I'm gonna let actually I'm gonna let Trovada actually say what the topic is. I'll rather hear it from him.
How do we word it again?
A teacher's journey.
A teacher's journey. So we're just going to be talking about, some historical Detroit stuff and Cali stuff too, because that figures into it too. Will be mixed in, but we're just talking about basically how a teacher's journey. I can't put it any other way. I was much more articulate till I started messing with this camera. So a teacher's journey, from being a student also to being a teacher, and some things that we've learned that may make a capoeira journey less difficult, in the sense of some things are productive to do and some things aren't so productive for your development. And through trial and error, we've learned these things, not that we were searching to learn them, but things happened. And, you revisited 15 years later, and you're like, why did I do that when I could have just done this? Or, why didn't I do this? Or why didn't I ask this question? Or why didn't I didn't even ask a question? Why didn't I ask more questions? Why did I just be like, just do this or didn't do this? So it's things over time that has happened. And this came about because I had a conversation with, and these are ongoing conversations, but the other day I had a conversation with a young man that was just started training and was just trying to pick my brain for stuff. And I just really realized how much over the years that, I'm trying to sound arrogant, that I've learned about how to learn. And some things that are a much more efficient way, mentally at least, to do things, and some things that may be much more important than other things, but we don't know that until you get the experience, or you have someone who can guide you in that direction, if that makes sense.
Real quick, I wanted to thank we have a new actual attendee, Mike. Mike, how you doing?
Good, fine. How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. I met Mike actually at the what is it, the International Institute, I believe, on off
Yeah.
across from CCS for
Yeah.
Portuguese class. And
Over by Wayne State.
yeah, and Mike's been he's been very supportive in many of the things that we've just capoeira here, and then also just the like Brazilian language and things like that. He always is popping in with inspiration. I thank him for that too. And I need to make sure that I have to make it over to your place to partake in that delicious food.
Well,
that you put
good.
up.
Hey, love to have you. Love to have you.
Cool. But thank you. Let's see here. Is it all right? Trovada, have at it.
Okay, so
There you go. Now I can see you.
yeah, oh man, I just had to restart it like about 6 times. Technology. So Mike, you came in a little bit after, but we're just talking about a teacher's journey. So some things in capoeira that we've learned that about what not to do when learning or trying to learn capoeira. Just I guess an easy way to do this, so I'm not rambling. CHINWE or Muji, are there any specific questions you may have? Because that's easier to help me get focused. So I'm not rambling about just, I'll be going. So I don't want to do that.
No,
Well,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I guess, from a teacher's journey, my only question for you would be like, I'm not quite sure, exactly like what's happening, in the capoeira world right now, but just you as an instructor, what are your plans, I guess, for the near future? Like, are you planning to like maybe reorganize things? Are you planning to just kind of continue to pull people together before you take more steps, or yeah, I mean, just in general?
Oh, thanks for the question. Well, right now for me personally, the space that we're currently in will be up for lease in less than maybe a month. So the first thing is I'm looking at other locations to teach at. So that's the most immediate thing. And it kind of took us by surprise. One day we were training, the next week we went in there and there's a big for lease sign on the lawn, and we're like, okay. And then we were told that it was for lease. So that's one. Two, I think for me, and I don't want to speak for CONTRA-MESTRE, but I think for me, I have just come to grips that I think in capoeira here, we're still in the education stage, because it's still not a household word like taekwondo, karate, judo, jujitsu, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we're still in the phase of defining generally what capoeira is, or more importantly, what it isn't. And as far as reorganization, it's more like trying to get a base together, like our location and a base to try to launch some other things and figure out a way, an efficient and effective way to go about educating the greater community as to what capoeira is, especially the capoeira that we do, capoeira Angola from contramestrepequenininho, capoeira regional for myself. Those two are quite, in my opinion, misunderstood, because more of what's in Michigan is more of a contemporary type of capoeira. So just trying to educate people on some of the similarities, some of the differences, and but in general, what capoeira is or isn't or could be. And that's immediately, for me, what's on the horizon.
Awesome, thank you for that.
And I don't know, Mr. Pequenininho wants to do that as well and just say, oh my goodness. Speaking of messages, we just got in the house. We got Mr. Bengala. Donald, Mr. Bengala, what's going on?
I'm good. Trying to get my voice back. Caught a cold. Seems like every time I go out of town for an event, I bring back some stray viruses. So still trying to knock this one out.
Well, it's good to see your face and hear your voice, and good to have you here. So Mugina Shaquana posed a question. So our topic, and you'll be able to really talk about this topic, is a teacher's journey. Yeah. The eyebrows went up. So Shaquana had asked, can you ask the question again, Shaquana? Then Mr. Pequenininho, if you could answer, and then we can just go from there.
Let's see if I can remember, rephrase it again. So the question was, as an instructor, like at this point, where do you see yourself going with capoeira? Like, is the focus right now to what did I ask? Was the focus right now to kind of like just pull people together? Is the focus right now to to train? Is the focus, so the question was kind of like, where are you right now, and what are your immediate goals kind of for capoeira?
Anybody want to answer that?
Oh, I can. You answer your. I can go. I can go through water. Let's see. Well, one of my focuses right now is to, let's see. I'll start for us, like us, everybody united more here, not just to be like, okay, one group. How me and Trovada, then really all of us, we've experienced capoeira more. We always hear the term capoeira community, community. And my goal here is to give more of a to help even Pessoa Trovada and in Fields Bimba, and then a group here. So we have more of a voice. We have more of a voice, and I don't mean like just to be like we're on the sandbox, on the soapbox, just trying to control everything like that, but just more that there doesn't have to be division. There never has been. It doesn't have to be division. If like at the end of the day, what are we doing? We're playing capoeira. We're growing. That's one of my focuses right here. And for a group here, it's been like a lot of even more learning experiences as well too, as far as the politics with the city, or and then also even relearning how I have to work to pass on capoeira Angola to the youth here, because it's that extra work that you have to do to pull them away from a video game to actually want to do something physical, or to pull them away from YouTube or Instagram. And it's like, okay, trying to meet them on those levels, but then at the same time to let them know that they do have something else that they can do, and also just to give everybody possibly an opportunity. So that's my focus right now. And just to go from there, and then just keep the work going. So yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Bengala, did you want to answer that one?
Yeah, I guess right now I'm kind of in a maybe a transition phase. We're in the process of rebuilding our group. We're going through some different configurations, let's say, for the group. There was some talk early on of trying to become a nonprofit, but we thought that just becoming a regular for-profit business would be would get us up and running a lot quicker than trying to have a board of directors and doing all the things required to become a nonprofit. So we decided to try doing it this way, and so far first year seemed to be very well, did very well, but we had some subsequent discussions, and we're kind of thinking about how to tweak it and make it maybe a little bit more efficient, that sort of thing. And as far as my personal goals and what I'd like to do in terms of teaching, it's maybe one of the things is to try to honor some of the pioneers of Bay Area capoeira. I think I don't know how many of you saw CHINWE's documentary on Malandro Filmes de Bimba, but in that she mentioned that Mestre Accordion stayed in California because of the help of some Asian martial artists who opened up their studios so that he could teach, and supported his classes and so on and so forth. And I'd like to get some recognition for some of those people. And while I had some grand ambitions about what I was going to do this year, they subsequently had to be scaled back. But I do plan to start trying to bring some of those people out to teach workshops and maybe tell their stories sometime maybe in August, to try to get some of that done. So that's one of my immediate goals for my teaching right now.
Thank you.
If I may be able to offer, I'd offered it to TROVOADA too. I actually, for group here, I have it's set up as a nonprofit, and just in case, it's been a learning curve for it as well too. But just in case if you ever may want to, please tweak my brain about it. I mean, I love paperwork, and I'm the person that my wife will go like, "Oh, here's the paperwork. You read it. You like reading fine print." I'm like, "Yes," because I'll find the loopholes and things and try to throw it back on somebody. So yeah, so I don't mind doing that at all, and offering my brain to it. So if it's something you may want to revisit again, or just even like possible like some input on any projects or anything to tweak it, my door is open, and I'm happy to help.
Okay, I appreciate that.
No problem.
If I can jump in here. I think it's interesting that that this is the topic of conversations today, and that this is where it's led to now. I am by no means a teacher. I just lead my group in Melandro's absence, and I have literally been having these same conversations with myself. How do I maintain the viability of my group? Do I stay at a for-profit business, or do I go nonprofit? And how does either one of those decisions serve the ultimate goal, which is to spread capoeira and make it accessible for people who are from the communities that I grew up in Oakland? And it's, Joe, earlier you mentioned that I think when talking about capoeira, we're still, at least for Americans, we're still in this kind of education phase, or maybe not for Americans, but we're still in this education phase on how do we make capoeira more viable, where it's efficient and doesn't require this like extensive labor that yields, I don't want to say it doesn't yield fruit, but the fruit is not commensurate to all the work that is put in. And in my position, you all have been doing capoeira for years and years and years. I am still very much a baby in this, and all of a sudden being in this role, in this position where I'm still very much learning just like movements in capoeira, songs in capoeira, how to play the beating bow and all these things. And also, being a leader for my group, making all these decisions and keeping the culture, maintaining this community. And especially, in trying to do that after Melandro, who has done a stellar and award-winning job in kind of cultivating this community in the Bay Area. I think it's comforting to hear that no matter how far you are in your capoeira journey, career, however you name it or call it, that these questions come up, and that there's always going to be searching for these kind of answers, and that you'll always be learning. There's never a time where you're not trying to figure out how to do this better, or what am I trying to say? Try to do this better or more efficiently, or more heart, centering the heart of this of this art form that we all love so much. So yeah, those are my 2 cents. And I'm like eager to hear what you all have to say, because like I said, I'm still very much new to all of this, and my ultimate goal is just to, just to have space for us to all do this. I mean, I think that's all what we want. We just want to be able to do capoeira as much as we want for as long as we can. But all these bureaucracies and red tapes and things that we have to go through make it difficult. And how do we use the tools, the skills that we learn in capoeira to kind of get past those barriers?
I can well, I feel your journey because went through that. Old Mestre, when he left, he was like, I'll lead a chapter of the group to you. And then after it was like, okay, next, what do I do? So I, much like anything, I feel it's like there's no book just made for like not just teaching capoeira, but teaching. It's just always going to be those experiences that come from it. The main thing that helped me was I was always told, just one thing, and it was like enjoy capoeira. But you have to actually put on, at times you have to put on two hats. You have to put on a hat of either an instructor or a leader, and you also have to put on a hat of the business aspect of it. But what helped me was being able to find a middle ground with both. And then, because it's like, for us, we would just love to just do capoeira all day long, have fun, play bit and bow. We would just love to do that all day long. But then at the end of the day, it's like, here's the adulting part and the responsible part that's, oh, well, I have to pay the light bill to keep the place on, or, I have to pay the gas bill or drive to the actual studio or do this. I have to have an advertising budget. Now I don't do things on Facebook or Instagram or anything. So now I have to learn how to do all of that stuff, or I have to hire somebody to actually do it, which goes into, I have to pay money for it. So it's like, where do you find that balance?
Yeah.
What helped was, again, always don't ever forget your love for capoeira. I know you won't, but the business sometimes can be draining at times, just to like, oh, I have to put so much into this. It's like, okay, I for 2 to 3 weeks, I've just been working on my whole marketing and strategy and all this type of stuff and meeting with people in business meetings, but my bid and bow's in the corner and I haven't even played it in 3 weeks. You don't ever want that to happen. And you don't want to start resenting what you love.
Yeah.
Because that can actually come out of right field too. And start, you'll start questioning, why am I doing this? Do I want to keep doing this? It's like so much that can be so overpowering. But also just to jump in that realm again, when you look at the two hats of different things, like when you're dealing with actual business. So since we started on that, if you're going to go into the nonprofit realm, the nonprofit realm will, like its name, it kind of deters people from sometimes where you hear nonprofit. It's like, okay, nonprofit's not nonprofit. It's supposed to not make money. But how can a nonprofit not make money if it needs to actually have money to sustain it?
Right.
So you're going to be working on grants. If you're not good with grants, I would suggest, mostly, I know like here in Michigan, like the business aspect of things of it, they also have like, where you can take like grant workshops and things like that online. I mean, every state has it. They have funding for it that they have to actually cycle into actually giving people classes or these opportunities to learn about grants. So I suggest looking into that. Also, excuse me if it sounds this way, but gender wise, women can actually get more grants at times than men can. Because, just for the whole aspect of being either a startup business, you know, you could actually be like, okay, I'm a woman actually, you know, offering classes in health and fitness and self defense, but not just like self defense, you know, give it that tweak to it, like self discipline instead of defense. But you know, you have the keyword stuff like in a certain way where it's so appealing to the people, where it's like you have no reason to say no. You're only going to say yes to what I'm doing. So and also, so you're going to be dealing with a lot of money coming in for grants, but also you do have services. The services you have, you offer actual classes in capoeira, which in nonprofits you can also offer, you know, actual individuals that will be paying for the classes. That's their actual memberships or their actual like class fees. Those would actually be cycled back into the actual nonprofit, into like, you know, your bank account or whatever. It will be cycled back into it, where that's going to go into your operating costs, your actual bills, your advertisements, all of those different things. The main thing is just as long as you always keep a paper trail, follow the requirements of what everybody's saying, and go from there. That's the nonprofit part. So it's kind of like you have to rely on grants to come in, and sometimes you may not get a grant. So it's like, how are you going to sustain that you didn't get that $10,000 grant that you needed for this?
Yeah.
So if you go for profit, you know, for profit, it's just profit. It's just profit, period. And but again, you're still stuck in that middle question: how do I still sustain this in a nonprofit versus a profit? So, you know, if you teach kids, get the parents involved. I mean, when the parents are involved, the kids are going to be involved, because the parents are going to see the development that's happening for the kids. And then 9 times out of 10, because like when I teach kids, I'm like, well, for one, the parents have to be here. If they're of a certain age, bottom line, they have to be here, because I want the parents to see what they're investing in their child. And at the same time, this makes it where the child and the parent and the family home grows together. So, and they're going to love that investment. And then 9 times out of 10, the parent was just coming for the kids. So now the parent is going to they may start taking capoeira classes, you know, so it cycles itself like that, and make something unique. One lesson that I was given was that teacher, he kept saying, don't make capoeira. He was like, if you can, he was like, enjoy capoeira. Don't make it 100% your bread and butter. And I was like, I understood what he said years later, where I'm like, I still kept my 9 to 5, and then I teach capoeira. So I'm like, that's still my enjoyment, but then I still have to be able to sustain it. So do something unique with the kids. It may be have a kids class where it's not really like it, or a kids workshop or something where it's like kids in motion. You know, kids will come and stay in motion. They're like, you know, playing pandeiro, or, you know, at the bottom, not too much. Kids will go crazy on the drum, which we all experienced it. You give a kid a drum, they turn into a rock star instantly. So, but give them something where it's a little bit of something controlled, and it could be like even little like kid instruments, and you know, but they're engaging in it. The parents see it and they love it, and then it could be something different. Or say, like example, I'll give you example of one thing, because I was like, I can't have everything 100% capoeira. My son actually, he's a form of ADHD. But his is just like focus. I hate the labels. I'm like, I just give you structure and boom, you do it. So, but what I saw that a lot of kids at his school when he was in elementary school is that a lot of these kids didn't know how to tie their shoes.
Wow.
So yeah, it shocked me, because I'm like, I'm coming in seeing that their shoes are already tied and they're knotted. So, you know, all the kids are doing is just sliding their shoes on, or some of the kids had Velcro on their shoes. So they're just snapping the Velcro on and that's it, or had slide shoes and that was it. And when I was growing up, you know, I was used to seeing in like kindergarten where we had that board and it had like a practice shoe thing, a shoelace tying thing on it, or you had the thing where it was like a action figure or something, or a bear that had like a zipper or button, all of those different things. So you learn dexterity stuff. So I was like, you know what? I was like, this is terrible because one of my son's best friends, he couldn't tie his shoe, and I'm like, I sat there and I'm like, no, you're gonna learn how to tie your shoe. So I went on Google and I found an idea. I made a cardboard shoe tying board. So I drew two, a left shoe and a right shoe, and knocked holes in it, and went to the dollar store and bought some shoelaces. And I put them in there, and I gave it to his friend's parents. I was like, I wanted to gift this to him, so you guys will have something. So even when you're driving, he can be in the back seat practicing tying his shoe on that board. And within that month, he got it. But I said, if this is one kid that's going through this, all of the rest of them are going through it. So for the nonprofit, I created a program called Time to Tie. And what I do is that I go into, like, I haven't done it in the last 2 years because I've been focused on restructuring the group, but I would pick three elementary schools, and I'm like, okay, how many students do you have? And they would be like, oh, we have 20 kids. I'm like, okay, I make 20 boards, or how many ever. It was like one time I made like 75 boards, and took them to all the different schools and dropped them off. And the teacher signed up for the program. They gave me a testimonial in the end of it, and boom. And went and revisiting. The parents were like, oh, they know how to tie a shoe now. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, it kind of sucks that they should already learn that at home, but I don't know the situation. However, I'm going to give this opportunity. So I give you that example as something separate. So even if it's not just always capoeira, you can make something else that can be a benefit for, whatever age, kids, teens, adults, seniors, whatever. But that's another thing that can also help you get in the door with other people that will want to actually reinvest and become sponsors of your actual organization or your business, because they can invest in your business too and just give you money for a specific thing. So that's it.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Chin, I wanted to focus on something you said, because we're not going to get into all this, but as you know, much like you, I was charged with teaching the group, but it was, oh boy, first, like, still learning everything, which I'm still learning, so that never stops. But one thing that I wish, and this is what I was referring to, as far as you do this for a while and you figure more efficient ways, or you look at what you didn't do that could have helped you.
Yeah.
I was very stubborn, and I never reached out and asked someone, hey, I'm having this problem. I don't know how to advertise the class. Can you help me? Because I figured the stereotype of me being a teacher is I was supposed to know everything,
right,
which is, you can't know everything. Just reaching out to other capoeira instructors, my instructor, reaching out to senior students that I didn't do it. So consequently, a lot of the lessons that I learned was the hard way, and which is cool. But what it does is it wastes effort, time, and energy.
Yeah.
And it's a quicker way to burn you out from, as Mr. Pequenininho said, enjoyment.
Yeah.
So, I like that you reach out, get ideas. Some are going to work for you, some aren't, but it's the point of, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And I'm a firm believer, especially as I got older in life in general, but in capoeira, you're always a student. It's just you're more experienced at a certain point than you were, but you're always a student because you're always learning something. It could be inside of capoeira, it could be outside of capoeira that you make a part of your capoeira, like taking a marketing class, or one of these online Udemy marketing courses or something. You're learning, but you should never think that you should know everything, because it's impossible.
Right.
And then another thing I think I wanted to say in general, that may go to students too, and I hope it does, is you don't have to be like anyone else.
Mhm.
You are uniquely you. And what you bring to the table is unique and different. And it should be that way.
Mhm.
And it's something that I, again, had I realized, I think I would be much further along physically and otherwise in capoeira had I realized that in that era I was in when I just was teaching very young in capoeira. Like it wasted a lot of time. And in the end, I'm still me. So it didn't work
Yeah.
because I can't be anyone else. And so, you know, just know that you're not alone. And I think it's something that regardless of experience level of the specific teacher, mestre, professor, and all the rest of the titles, you end up revisiting, like, how can I do this better? Overall, it's not just the physical movement, but everything.
Right.
How can I generate more interest in the art itself and things like that? I think it's, you know, we've had hours long discussion about, like, how would you really, like, the simplest way to describe capoeira? Like, for instance, when you hear karate, you think of dudes in pajama like tops punching. It's a very simple image.
Yeah.
When you think judo, you think of grabbing another guy and throwing him down, slamming him in some way.
Yeah.
When you think of, you know, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, you think of a guy laying on his back, choking the other one out, or put him in some type of arm lock. It's a simple image that comes to your mind. So when you, like, if you're marketing or if you're trying to get people interested in, say, karate, well, you just go find the stock image of two dudes doing a reverse punch. They don't know the names. They just know it looks like what they think in their mind.
Mhm.
With capoeira, because it's so nuanced in a lot of ways, it's not you can come up with a simple description, but it's not like karate, kung fu, or something. You know, kung fu, you can just reference Bruce Lee, even though it may not even apply, but you can.
Mhm.
You know, for instance, there's a Wing Chun school here in Detroit that's been very successful over the last, 12, 13 years, very successful. And I was sitting there looking at their flyer one day, and I was talking to Largatisha. I said, man, you know, what is he doing? Because he was, you know, I remember he had this one little rinky dink location. I got 3 or 4 that's like booming.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it over time. You know, I didn't come up with an explanation. I said, you know what? When you say kung fu, and then on every flyer he had, he referenced Bruce Lee, the style that Bruce Lee did. And when the Yip Man movies came out, it's the Yip Man, you know, it was a reference point that people could just, it's a simple reference point.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Bruce Lee, karate pajama punching. With capoeira, because it hasn't really gained a foothold of popularity in pop culture, it's no image. You might, the close people say, when I've talked to people, it's dance fighting, but it's seen as a joke, like it's in Shaft, and it's like a joke in the new Shaft that the guy like beat up these dudes doing dance fighting. It's in that Never Back Down movie when they show somebody doing about 1,000 flips and then he lands and the guy punches him in his face and he drops to the floor. Or it's in Meet the Fockers and it's like a joke. It's in, you know, what's the other one it was with Will Ferrell? Get Down, Get Hard, something like that. And it was like a comedy, which is cool, it's still exposure, but it still doesn't give us a simple definition that people can think of like they think of when it's karate or judo or something. And that's beyond our control. But I'm saying a lot of times trying to get people outside of the realm of capoeira in it is much more difficult because there is not that image that you can burn, that's been burned into their head to say, oh, capoeira, oh, that's the thing that did blah, 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 blah. We don't have it. So we have to harp on other things that capoeira can bring. And this is just a personal thing for me for years. Yeah, I mean, this has been a while. I really dread when I say martial art when it comes to capoeira, because the popular conception of a martial art is an Asian thing that are in the movies that look a certain way, or nowadays it's mixed martial arts where it's the guys throwing each other into the cage, choking each other out, and pounding on each other on the floor. None of that's happening in capoeira. Well, it shouldn't be, you know. But it's still, for me, it's a challenge. I'm like, but the easiest thing that I can think of, because see, if you say dance, in our culture, dance means like salsa or ballroom. As soon as they see a kick go up, there ain't no dance. That's not a dance. And so we're battling a way, or at least in my mind, a way to simplify it so that you can give them all the stuff when they come in. It's music, it's this, it's that, it's this. But to get them in my opinion, has to be something. Either you know what capoeira is and you like, oh, that's capoeira, I want to do it. But someone's not like that. It's like they may be interested, but I think for most people, or a lot of people, the simplest definition will do, so they can have a picture in their mind, so they don't come into a surprise, so to speak.
Right.
I've been struggling with that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there is an answer. I just don't know. I can't come up with one. But these are some of the things, you know, that preoccupy me. And as Mr. Pequenininho said, just how do I make it relevant for the community I'm in? Because it has to be relevant outside of just doing these movements. It has to be something else, because it has to keep people interested, especially when they first start, because, you know, we're interested, we've been doing it for a long time, everybody in here, you know, but how do we do it? That's all I want to say.
Thank you for that.
I think also finding events that are possibly culturally, I hate to say, culturally opportunity. You know, because like, let's see, we have the African World Festival here. And you know, anybody know anything about it is Detroit, you know, Detroit, African World Festival. So in the past, we would just, nobody was really doing anything capoeira wise. And then, like, you know, TROVOADA, all of us, you know, random times we actually would just, this is when it used to be at Hart Plaza. Yeah, when we we would just go down there walking around. Don't let I was already looking at that like, I don't want to say how old, but but yeah, we just go down there walking with just like a bit and bound upon pandero. That's it. We only had that, like a bit and bound upon pandero. That was, and we're like, and you know, that's going to catch everybody's attention because you're walking around with a bit and bound, you know, it's either, you know, what are their preconceptions about it? Oh, that looks like a bow and arrow. Oh, that looks like a fishing rod. But the main thing is that, oh, I caught your attention. You don't know what it is, but something's intriguing you about that. So, and you know, and like, oh, well, no, it's an instrument. Oh, it's a bit and bound. Oh, wow, this, and you play, and it's like, oh, wow. You captured that person for a moment. So you have to look at it that every time, anything you do, it doesn't have to be just capoeira. Anything, you have at least you have 5 seconds, not a minute. You have 5 seconds to say something that's going to catch somebody like that. You know, oh, it's a bit about, it's an instrument that's, you know, using, you know, dance capoeira, like quick, you have to do it, and then at the same time you're doing it, you got to play your bit about. You only have like a small window of opportunity right there to to capture the person, to at least like, hey, get their interest.
Yeah.
And then from there, it goes from there. But look at, you can use cultural events, maybe like they may have a block club event or a community event, or something that's just around the area, or something, or you may know of something that's just happening around the city or something like that, where anywhere you live, and you're just like, oh, walk around, just play a bit and bow, you know. But what I had to find too is that um capoeira actually helped me more be more open to a lot of things, because it was growing up, oh, you like the whole nerd aspect of things like that. But I'm like, what, we're older nerds, and guess what? We're the ones that are keeping things moving. So we have purpose. But it helped me come out of my shell. So going around, now it's funny. I wouldn't have pictured that more of the people that have like reached out are intrigued about class. They're like, oh yeah, that's great and everything. And then they come in and they got like I don't know, like a Demon Slayer anime shirt on, or some type of anime something, or a Transformer shirt. So I'm like, that's Fist of the North Star, that's Kenshiro. And they're like, what? Kenshiro? I'm like, yeah, Fist of the North Star. I was like, that's a good anime. But they didn't realize that they were just coming in. They were coming in thinking about a martial art or a martial science.
Mhm.
And now they're like, oh wow, he knows about anime. So now I just connected with them even on another level. So you never know what is going to happen. I mean, I've been to like cosplay events. We have a Horda outside, and they're like, oh wow. They're like, oh, what are they doing? It's capoeira. You never know where it's going to happen. But cultural events, events where people, can be openly nerdy, things like that. And even events that they may have with like, colleges or schools where they're talking about cultural studies or sciences and things like that too, or humanities events, things like that, just some options. you know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think I've done some of those things before, especially about reaching out to organizations that have similar cultural practices. And I think what's been challenging for me is building those relationships. There's two parts to it. One, I'm just a naturally shy person. It takes me a while to kind of open up. But two, also building those relationships so they don't feel transactional, and that they are partnerships, and that's a skill that I don't even know how to develop, or even know where to start to develop that skill, like that networking skill, yeah.
Well, best thing I would want to say, you created this documentary. This was Chinwei, you were just speaking, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right. You created this documentary. Sister, walk in your pride and your strength, because what you put together, that is powerful. And I all of us are just been shy, but you know what you do? Walk in your strength every time, because you're giving people that story, not just the capoeira, but of who you are. And energy and strength has no other choice but to be addictive and transferable to someone. So if you're coming there and you're like, hey, you're looking them straight in the eye, your chin isn't all the way up, like, it's just ego driven, but you're like eye level, everything like that. And your voice is just so projecting. It's like, wow, she knows what she's talking about. Wow.
Mhm.
Again, I have that belief, because sometimes it won't always be an agreement. It always won't be a yes. Somebody won't, but it's like, okay, that didn't work, moving on. Okay, this worked. All right, now what did I do about it? So the first time it didn't work, but the second time it did. What was the difference?
Mhm.
you know, you get to keep constantly learning from all of those different experiences until you make your own platform of how you, it's basically like you make your remix of every time that you're going to go to somebody. You're like, okay, I'm putting this track on when I talk to them. This is how I talk to somebody, talk to somebody, talk to somebody. And then even like when you go for a job interview or anything like that, you're always going to do what? Research the actual company that you're looking to apply for. So, oh, this is what this company does. Blah 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 blah. This is what this business does. Da, 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 da. And you go in, speak about what you do. Like, oh yeah, you know, I'm so happy to meet you guys and everything. I love the actual what you guys are doing in the community or what your business actually represents. I see you guys were like founded in 1919. That's great. Just on the whole fact of this is a, they're gonna look at that as far as, oh wow, they even took the time out to even find out what we're about. So it's again, it's like I'll have to say how one of like an elder of me told me. He was like, it's how you pimp how you talk. So I was like, okay. but, but it's how you talk. It's all about how you talk and then how you walk in your strength and your pride. I mean, because this capoeira is something that is so powerful. It is so powerful. I'm like, it touches people in so many different ways. It doesn't even have to be about you're trying to, you want to, somebody, I want to learn capoeira to lose weight. I want to learn it for music. I want to learn it for the culture. I want to learn it for this. But it touches everybody in some type of way, shape, and form. And I like that. I like that we have the opportunity to be in such a way ambassadors for such an art to help others. So, so yeah. But again, yeah, hey, walk in your strength and your pride in everything that you do. Especially, and it's just gonna transcend itself in every aspect, including capoeira. So,
CHINWE, you might not know it, but I'm extremely shy. Very. However, over time, because you know, much like you in your position, I was put in a position where everybody pushed me to the front when it was a demo or it was, you talk. I'm like, I don't want to talk. Over time, it became more comfortable. One, it was trial and error. So of course, at first it was horrible.
Yeah.
But I think it's like Mr. Pequenininho said, when you are comfortable as you are with your skill set, with your and your if people can tell. I noticed the difference, like if I give a talk now as opposed to when I was first given the opportunity to teach. Very different because everyone could tell that I was not confident in what I was doing.
Mhm.
Now, I mean, I still have my moments, but for the most part, I've accepted who I am. Even who I am in capoeira, I've accepted it. And it's now it's different. And it can happen over time, but I'm saying like we doing this little Zoom here. You are you. Walk in your power. The thing about so-called weaknesses is, guess what? They can always be strengthened.
Yeah.
Don't focus on them. Focus on them enough to strengthen them, but don't wear them, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Also, feed your strengths. You are a filmmaker. I saw you in action. That's a CHINWE that needs to go and approach people. The one I saw directing in the Funda Sound.
Mhm.
When you had that poor camera dude running about 500 places. Get over here, over here. I need this shot. That's that same level of confidence. You didn't seem, and I'm not trying to be funny, but you didn't seem shy there. I was scared. I'm like, let me move back here before. I don't want to get in the director's way, but you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
you know? And I am, what was I about to say? God, I forgot. I think you have an opportunity because you have more. It's a different. When all of us, Mestre Bengala is the most senior to us in capoeira, right in this now. But I can say that you have, with the way capoeira is now and the way everything is now, you have so many resources to study.
Yeah.
And so many ways to get in touch with people. Just take advantage of them, because I wish it was one thing I would have done and I would have done it more.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I think you can do it. It's going to be difficult, but what isn't that's not worth it? And again, I know you said something about the way Melandro had it. You're not him. You are you. You have to walk in your strength. He walked in his. Now you have to walk in yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for me, when and I'm just, not that I'm the greatest, because I'm not, but it was more liberating when I learned that I did not have to be like anyone else in capoeira.
Mhm.
Because I can't be. I can only be who I am. Strength, weaknesses, things I need to work on, habits that I had, I can only be me. And when I finally just accepted that, it was a different freedom, and I was able to speak with confidence. I was able to approach people and say, hey, I like what you're doing. This is what I do.
Yeah.
Can we have, can we meet up and, let's set up a meeting so we can talk about how maybe we're best to aid each other, you
Yeah.
know? And I really do think once you relax into that, it's not going to be easy, but it'll come easier.
Mhm.
And I'm shy. I don't even like talking in front of people, but I was always pushed to the forefront to do it when we were hearing these demos. So then I forget it.
Yeah.
I just start doing it because it was like no one would let me hide in the background. They just wouldn't. And so, I got confidence in you. I think you can do it. And just bring the director CHINWE to it. The director CHINWE was oh boy. I did feel bad for the camera guy though. I just want to tell you that.
Oh, did you? I felt I was being nice.
You were being a director. That's
I know, but even as a director, I felt like I was being on the nicer side of things. But yeah, it's sometimes hard to remember that, because like you said, like I said earlier, like I feel like I'm stepping into some big shoes, and I can't be Melandro, but there's I think a pressure I feel to uphold this thing that he's created. And I don't know, maybe like I gotta let that go too. Like that's part of the thing that I need to let go in order for me to be successful in that. I can't, what Melandro did is what Melandro did. I can't replicate it. I can't, quote unquote, maintain it. It's already been done, Now in my, being where I'm at now, it's what can CHINWE do? And part of that is scary, but also exciting. Like, what can I do? You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, you have the ability to craft your own film now. I mean, think about it. You're a filmmaker. Would you want to remake Night of the Living Dead, or would you want to make your own? No matter how successful Night of the Living Dead is, even if you remade it, it won't be the same movie. It will be in name, it will be, but it won't be, because certain things you can't replicate, and the certain things you're going to do better.
Yeah.
And so I truly believe once you accept it, that you will then walk into that and be fine. I mean, it's a lot of, we capoeira is a lot.
Yeah.
and I don't say that in a bad way, but it is a lot going on in capoeira, just the art itself, not even the communities, but it's the art itself. But that's probably why each and every one of us are still here. If it was, you know, honestly, and it's no offense to these arts, for me, Wing Chun it wasn't that for me. It was almost too easy for me to pick up. I didn't stick with it. Like, I'm bored.
Yeah.
Capoeira, however, I can safely say since I started, I've never been bored. It's always a challenge in some way, shape, or form. Not even a physical challenge. You know, it's still that, of course, but I mean, it's other things like now you're stepping into a leadership role. It's a different challenge in addition to training and maintaining. But I would say this, and Mr. Bengala and Mr. Pequenininho can chime in, or if I say something wrong or offensive, please let me know. When you're teaching, you don't want your skills to diminish. It's natural. You just don't.
Yeah.
I think as you get older in the art, and older in general, but older in the art, in your personal training, you find a more efficient way of doing something. For instance, Mr. Bengala will remember the 1,000 Mialua workout. I did it. Yeah, I used to come home and do it, you know, when I wouldn't be in Cali. And me and Negubon, aka Carvon, used to do it before our classes for a while. Okay, now I'm 50. I ain't doing it. I will tell you, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Because I will be so sore for the next two. It'd be pointless because for one day, I'll miss like 6 days of training and I ain't gonna be able to move.
Right.
So however, what I do now, not in Mialua because it's hard to do Mialua, but let's say Martello. Instead of doing 1,000, I focus on doing 20, but I might do them slow with control. So I can control my leg coming back and forth, working on balance, working on something like that in that particular kick or something. While not as strenuous as some of the old days, it's efficient for where I'm at now physically.
Yeah.
And it saves time to me. Like I could go do 1,000 Martello, but why?
Yeah.
After probably about the 501, the rest of them gonna be sloppy because now I'm just doing them and I'm tired. There's no point. If I concentrate and do a less amount in a certain way that's still challenging, I'm still building that. I'm building other things too. I'm building balance. Like I have a little, and I don't do this, but I have a balance board in the basement that my goal is to be able to do those straight kicks on the balance board. That ain't 1,000 Mialua, but it's gonna, believe me, it's a challenge and it's gonna develop my kicks.
Yeah.
You know, so it's about thinking of training for yourself in a different way because you, like you say, you may have to be in meetings, you may have to do this, you may not have 2 hours to train, you may have 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And you have to come up with a way for your body, because everybody's different, for your body that you're still getting a challenge, you're still developing these techniques, but you're doing it efficiently because now you have another set of responsibilities. You know, that to me is where you would reach out to Melandra. Hey, how can I make this more efficient in my own training? And just to get some ideas, because, you know, we are limited in our ideas. You know, somebody will say, well, why don't you just do this? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. And so, you know, allow yourself that too, because I struggle with it for years. I'm like, man, he's 1,000 meal. Look, he ain't doing it. It ain't like when, it's not like when I first did it. I was struggle to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
And then what, in the end, at this point, what would I gain by other than probably an injury? That's probably what I would get out of it now. Then I was young, probably had an injury and didn't know it and kept going like a dummy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just allow your, like, I wish I would have reached out so someone could have told me to allow myself that leeway.
Yeah.
So I got so many injuries is I was injured and I kept going. I didn't stop because I'm like, I can't stop because if I stop, is this no, I could have stopped. And then I wouldn't have been in the shoulder sling and all. It wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Or maybe it would have happened later, but it wouldn't have been so soon. So, you know, that's about the journey of teaching too. It's like you do some of these goofy things and you're like, why did I do that? Like, what did I gain ultimately by it? And I gained a lot of injuries.
Mm.
Then one more point I want to make, and then I'm gonna shut up. But knowing your body too, that's important as a teacher because you're training. You know, for years it took me to realize one thing. Like I'm like, as you saw, I'm not acrobatic. I don't. I just you know, that ain't me. But you know, for years I thought it was my weight until one time. Something happened once. I can't remember what it was. And I'm like, no, it's never been my weight. It's been, and it's not trying to, you know, feel sorry for me. I'm just giving you an example. I have a joint problem and it's hereditary. And the range of motion of my joints is it won't go past a certain point. It's not a condition, but I've went to several physical therapists and doctors, just how my body is.
Yeah.
However, I could at a younger age, I could have done those acrobatics. I thought it was because of my size, so I nixed it. When in reality, it was I would have had to work on some other things to get around parts of certain joints being less flexible.
Yeah.
Took me years to realize that because I had to step out of myself and say, no, I can't. I seen dudes bigger than me doing this stuff. So it's not the weight alone, it's something else. And then I'm like, wow, I wish I would have talked to someone who may have gave me some insight like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So just allow yourself that. You know, it's good to have people to bounce things off, because you might think why you can't do something or teach something is one thing, and it's really something totally different. It could be not fixed because there's nothing wrong with anyone, but remedied. But we're still limited in our view of everything. We just humans.
Yeah.
And allow yourself that. I wish I would have reached out and someone would have told me that, because it would have saved a lot of time and mental anguish I put myself through it. No one else put me through it. I did it. But I wish I just had that. And so for you, I'm saying that you have that. If you ever want to reach out to me, I can give you some ideas. I'm not, you know, I know everything or most things, but I can give you some ideas. Because you need people. That's another thing I discovered too. You're not the Capoeira Island.
Right.
You need people. You do. You need them. And it's funny because we're talking about teachers, but it's also a student thing too. You need a certain competitiveness, but in a positive way. For instance, I'm training with Mr. Pequenininho. I need to train myself on my own to be proficient enough to give him a challenge when we do partner work, because it makes him grow. He needs to do the same. It makes me grow. So it's competitive, but it's not competitive in the sense of a negative competitiveness.
Right.
It's, you know how when boxers or UFC guys, they get their training partners and they spar.
Right.
The other dude has to be just as good. Most of the time, they are actually better than the person they're training to fight, because it makes the levels rise.
Right.
You know, the iron sharpens iron type thing.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, that's what we all need, even in this. Mr. Pequenininho knows about marketing. I gotta raise mine up a little bit so I can push him a little bit more. He can push me and we can come up with this together. You know, it's a process, but and I'm not blaming anybody. I wish I'd have known to ask that question or felt comfortable enough to ask that question, because it wasn't what no one would have said. It was that, ain't I supposed to know this? I can't ask. And I would shut up a lot. I had a lot of questions. I just kept them to myself. because I felt, man, I'm gonna look stupid if I ask this question. I should know this. Well, no, I shouldn't. How would I? If I don't know, I don't know. And so allow yourself that. That's one of the journeys of teaching too, is to sit there and say, you know what, I don't like, someone will ask me a question now, and I will preface, like any talk I'd give, I'll say, if I don't know the answer, I will ask someone that knows and will get back to you. And if they don't know, I'll just come back and tell you nobody knows. Because I'm not gonna lie to you to get you the answer. You know what I mean? I don't have to know everything. How can I?
Yeah.
So allow yourself that and get into the director mindset. And I think you should, like, you know, and all the people that's been teaching here for a minute, Mr. Bengala, Mr. Pequenininho, and myself. My goal was to never hold back a student. If you got me in a Hasteda and you got me, I felt very good because I did something right.
Right.
It didn't make my ego go down. Who cares? You slip on a banana peel and fall. It ain't no big deal. You get right back up and keep on walking. But that spirit of I'm telling you this because I want you to be a way better leader than I was. Because I saw all the mistakes that I made.
Yeah.
I mean, little simple stuff that now I would go back and tap young troll on the back of his neck and be like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's some simple, it's not even movement, it's more like class structure. What I allowed in the class to happen, what I didn't emphasize more. When visitors would come, how I treated them in relation to the people that was there. I don't do it now. I would never do it again because it's counterproductive to what you're trying to do. But I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin to reach out and say, Mr. Bengala, I don't know, man. I had this incident. What's your take on it? Because I felt I should know. And then, you know, it happens.
I'm gonna add to that too. I want to say, like, say it with your chest, brother. It's going back to what Trovada actually was saying in the beginning, is that for capoeira, we don't really have a platform that you can Google and get a default image. It's terrible because sometimes you'll get capoeira is everywhere, but it's like sometimes I was like, let me see what a Google image search will bring up for capoeira. I've seen it bring up like samba, and I'm like, nowhere near what capoeira is, or a whole bunch of different things. So it's like there's no default, but I like the whole fact that Trovada said this and where this is going now, because even CHINWE, how you were asking the different things. Again, you've already been destined to have a platform, and you started it with what you did with Melandro. And then at the same time, but you have to look at it like this. It wouldn't have been passed on to you if he didn't already see the capabilities and the strength that you have, not as in capoeira, but you. So, I mean, if anything, I give you congratulations as well too, because capoeira has a weird way of doing things in certain times, but for some odd reason, it can help people grow. And then you don't know, it could be something like in the next millisecond or something like that. You're like, you know what? I'm going to make a film that highlights capoeira and goes over this, that, and the other, and blah, 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 that. And it just becomes the next cultural amazement where it will again, it could turn into the household name of, all right, now here's example. Not the household name, but anybody. What's the default movie what's the name of the default movie that you could say and you know it's about capoeira?
I mean, right now, I think everyone would say Only the Strong.
Yep. So who's to say in the next millisecond you wouldn't not you would who's to say in the next millisecond that you're gonna create the next Only the Strong? But it will be even greater. So and that actual opportunity is out there, because what's other than Only the Strong, some of the things that we've gotten since then that has given capoeira a highlight of something. It's either been what, blood sport, where a guy wasn't actually doing capoeira, but he was doing all of that, kickboxer, it's so many different little movies. And from Only the Strong, a long time later, what do we have? Besouro.
Right.
And then, but after Besouro, what's after Besouro? So it's like, that's where CHINWE comes in. She started something that was a documentary that was amazing. And it's like, what's the next thing that's going to be the creation from her brain? And then at the same time, you have a step above even all of us in here when it even when it comes to the whole aspect of your video production. Nowadays, your video production has that type of power where it will reach the new generation and some of the older generations. You're creating actual cinematography and things like that that's so amazing that, oh, here's an Instagram reel of this right here. Bam. Oh, I just caught that person right there. They see the artistic and creative aspects of everything that you created about capoeira. Mm-hmm. And this is something totally different that they aren't used to seeing, because 9 times out of 10, when I go on Instagram now, I'm either seeing some horror where somebody's getting a martelo in the face. Mm-hmm. And it's just all this is like a whole bunch of briga, nothing but briga. No horror that's beautiful, no understanding, it's like, who's the more stronger one, which is taking on that Americanized ideology. I don't believe in art until I see somebody get knocked out or I see blood. That's it. That's how we have it here. But you have the opportunity to do reverse psychology on all of that, to make it where this is actually capoeira. So yeah. So again, walk in your strength, walk in your strength. And you have the opportunity to not be like, I'm going to follow Melandro's, I'm going to follow his footsteps. You have the opportunity to honor the possibility, but then honor yourself in many ways more than was thought of.
Mm-hmm. I did not mean to monopolize this session today, but I appreciate everything that you all have said today. And it's something that, like, daily, these are things I'm thinking about and working on myself. And of course, I don't have the answers, but there's like a time where, like, I'll remind myself of these different things, and it's like, yeah, this is the answer. Like what you said today, walk in my power. I can't be like another person. I've got to, blaze my own trail. Yeah, that makes sense. Just do it, and then you're in a position when you have to do it, and it's like you've never walked a day in your life. Like you just forget how to be yourself almost. And so trying to have grace for myself that this is a practice, and even as I continue to get better, if I reach whatever level I think is adequate enough to be considered a teacher or whatever title that there is out there, it's still a practice. It's still something that I got to be working on. and it's going to be ugly. I was actually had this thought to myself today, that when I first started capoeira, I thought it would be easy to pick up. And I even said that in the documentary. It's like, this would be easy. I have a dance background. I have a music background. I know how to sing. I know how to do all these things. I'm just going to come in here and do it. Absolutely not. Like, it was hard for me to learn these movements. It was hard to pick up the beating down, to play the pandero. And I am the shyest person in the room when it comes to singing. So, and when I do sing, because I'm so shy, I sound terrible. Like all these different aspects of capoeira, even the leadership part of it. I've been, a leader of some group since I was 14 years old, almost every year of my life since I was 14, through high school, through college, through grad school. And I'm in this position now where all these things that I thought I was like adept at come together, and it's like, you're learning, you have to learn these skills again, and you have to learn it in this context. And relearning these skills is not necessarily a bad thing, but I now have the opportunity to maybe knock down some old narratives that I've made about myself and let the real ones actually arise and become the person that I actually am, if that makes any sense. So using kind of all these challenges to help me walk in this power, to help me be the person who I'm meant to be. Like, I haven't left capoeira because I know that these challenges are meant for me. I think if this were to happen in another context, I'd be like, man, this doesn't serve me, so I'm out of here. Like, I'm not supposed to be under all this pressure. This is trash. I don't need this, you know what I mean? But no, I guess this is just what it's gonna take. And that part too is the constant remind. I have to constantly remind myself of that every day, that the pressure here is good. It's good pressure. It's a good challenge. This is not anything. Everything that's happening is meant to serve me. Yeah.
Now, I want to share something with you, and maybe we can take this part out, because I don't like to draw unnecessary attention to myself, if we don't mind. You know, CHINWE, when we were in Bahia, right?
Yeah.
And I think everybody thought I was very nervous about the throws, because I was.
Mm-hmm.
The day of the formatura, when I got up in the morning, I had made up in my mind that whatever was going to happen was going to happen, but that I was going to do them. So we get to the place, Mr. Nell comes up to me. He's like, you don't have to do the ballon. I said, what? I don't have to do them. No, if you're nervous, you don't have to do it. I said, so I sat down there next to Lang. She was like, what's wrong? I said, Mr. Nell said I ain't have to do the throws. I said, but I came all this way to do them.
Yeah.
So then, of course, Lang being Lang caught him and told him.
Yeah.
And so at first we were on. At first we weren't off. And then when he called me up, that's why me and Melandro both looked surprised.
Mm-hmm.
But I fell and I got up and did it, et cetera, et cetera. However, see, I didn't want it to be a question in my own mind whether I would have fell on the top of my head. I would have attempted. I didn't come all that way and pay all that money not to attempt it.
Right.
And he gave me an out. But believe it or not once did I think of taking that out. I'm like, no, I'm just gonna do it because I thought that's what he wanted. But I told last time, I won't feel right about this.
Yeah.
So all that to say, you're stronger than you think.
Mm-hmm.
We all are. We put in those positions to be. Your training has a funny way of knocking into place when it needs to. All the things you talked about, the dance background, the singing background, was for a reason. It may not reappear in your capoeira till you 10, 20 years in capoeira. That's the funny thing. Well, I don't know why I don't have any scientific explanation, but it seems to. backgrounds and things that I used to do before capoeira come back now.
Yeah.
Even if I can see something different than I did 10, 15 years ago inside of capoeira because of this experience.
Yeah.
That may not necessarily in the beginning have to do anything with capoeira. It's just funny that way. It's a magical art form. I can't tell you why. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Being a teacher, regardless of your rank or whatever it's called, gives you an opportunity to see the art differently because you have to kind of see it differently. Because then not only is, it's not just you. Now you're looking out for other people's development.
Mm.
And if you're a conscientious person, like I know you to be, so you'll snap to it. To me, the best teachers are conscientious people because they actually care about other people. Technically, like honestly, for me, technical, of course, is important because it's a technical art,
Yeah.
but the intentions are just as important to me. I've seen some people who are technically wonderful, and they're teachers. They teach okay, but sometimes when I'm on the outside looking in, so it's just a question: are they really teaching for the students? Or are they teaching for themselves?
Mm.
A conscientious person is teaching for the student, meaning they will come up with 5 ways to modify this move because they may have 5 different students who have 5 different problems and they can't do this move, but you're trying to get them the gist of this move.
Right.
So a lot of your difficulties, and when you overcome them, may become training methods you can tell somebody.
Yeah. Like,
oh, well, I did this for this. Maybe you could try this. And that's, to me, that's where the art continues to grow. It's easy, how easy it would be if all of us just came and instantly our bodies molded to capoeira and we're doing all this good stuff inside 2 years. And the art wouldn't grow though, because you need some people who have difficulties. They have to find ways to overcome them. And that becomes different training methods. So I think that's how all martial arts evolved. One dude couldn't do this, but he come up with a way to kind of do that in a different way. And he remembered it and kept showing it to people or doing it. And then it became this method. And then over time, people did that and everything kind of became these different methods. So walk in that too. Like, I'm not saying you are, but if you are, don't be ashamed of any struggle that you have.
Mm.
Don't be. That's what makes you you. And it's a good thing. Because believe me, if we all could come in and do capoeira with no problem, it'd be dead. Because there would be no challenge.
Right.
It has to be something that's challenging. As you're teaching, you see people that come in and they can do these acrobatics or something very agile. At first, you're like, damn, show them one time they can do it. Then put a pandero in their hand and they drop it. They can't even barely hold it. That's their weakness. That's what they need to work on more. So none of us come into this art or anything already molded. We can. Everyone has a strength. They come in. It's something in capoeira they naturally can do.
Mm.
It may be the simplest thing, but I think no one comes in with something they don't easily pick up on in the art. Some people come in, you give them a pandero because they have been musicians. They spinning it on one hand, doing this and throwing it up, turning it around. Then have them do jing and they almost fall over. It's just the way it is. And that, to me, that's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty you get to see of the art as a teacher. Of people developing from their weaknesses, if they stick with it. They're developing from their weaknesses and they become confident where they weren't confident in one area. It's beautiful to see. And it's a blessing to be on this side sometimes to see it. Now, other stuff is a big ass. Oh, can't cuss on that. It's a big headache. It is. Anyone who's known me, you know how many times I've contemplated quitting capoeira? It's got to be hundreds. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? I haven't quit yet. So, but why am I doing this? And I don't think I've ever answered that question. It's just, it's something telling me to keep doing it.
Right.
So it's just, you're going to be fine, but allow yourself those moments. Don't preoccupy with none of those moments. Kind of let them happen. Do what you need to do for those moments, but don't let them preoccupy. Believe me, the most the most with it person you've seen in capoeira probably has had the most struggles. And they just persevered.
Yeah, I just want to also say that my impression of you, CHINWE, is that you are a leader, and that you wouldn't have been given the responsibility of leading this group if Melandro didn't think that you could handle it. And from what I excuse me, from what I've seen of you, I truly believe that you are a very capable, conscientious leader. And if there's anything that I can do to help in terms of advice, I like the other two speakers have said, I don't know everything. I haven't experienced everything, but I do have a lot of years of experience in capoeira. And if I can, be of any assistance, I'm definitely available to help.
Thank you so much, Mason. Are you going to the holiday by chance?
Probably not. As you can hear from my voice, I'm starting to, the mucus is starting to flow again. So figure out, usually at nighttime, it's when I start coughing and so on and so forth. So probably be better if I stay home and don't share my germs with you good people tonight.
I was gonna offer that if you have any like mucus wise or anything, if you have any or the opportunity to get any mullein, make yourself some tea with it. I actually use mullein a lot, and that helps like kick up a whole bunch of mucus and everything. So I mean, it's kind of like instant. So I'll make mullein tea and have honey with it, and that's good from there.
So mullein, is that
It's like a herb.
herb?
Let me see. I think I have. Let me see. I actually this deal. I have like a bucket full of the stuff, but it's called a mullein leaf. Or is it? I'll put the name of it in there. It's not gonna focus right. But yeah, I have like a little tea ball. I put the herbs in it and then drop it in the hot water and then drink it. Like during the whole like COVID, that everything was going on, just of the coughing and everything like that. Me and my wife and everybody in the house, we were just nothing but mullein. And I mean mucus was just, I mean my lungs were just a suggestion, but I like it compared to going to CVS or Walgreens and then paying for like, the Band-Aids and just popping pills. So, so
Yeah. Okay, yeah, appreciate that.
Miljean, you've been kind of quiet. You good?
I'm good. Usually when I get pretty quiet, I'm usually thinking a lot. But I think this whole discussion was just very important for everybody, to hear, no matter how long we've been here. it's good to hear because, you know, a lot of people, you don't realize that a lot of people have the same or struggling with the same things and sometimes have the same feelings. So it's good to hear that. You know, just me, myself, I know I started with the question, but, you know, I'm going through a period of what I call reinvention. And, you know, at different phases of everyone's lives, you have to keep reinventing yourself over and over again to find out who you are at that particular, you know, point in your time, in time. And so, you know, when you graduate from high school, go to college, now you have to figure out who you are as a college student. You graduate from college, who am I as a young adult? You know, when I finished, I went into teaching, I had to figure out who am I as a teacher. And so forth and so forth. So, you know, at this point, you know, I'm kind of in a situation, you know, when I was teaching, things were, you know, really creative, the juices were flowing. And now in the legal field, the life is sucked out of you, like literally. So I have to kind of, you know, figure out who I am, you know, kind of all over again at this stage in my life. And it's really interesting, like so that I end up back in capoeira because capoeira helped me start to figure out, you know, who I was. You know, I started with a background in Taekwondo. And, you know, like CHINWE said, it's not easy. You know, it took me, I was so robotic. It took me what, like 6 months to a year just to get the Jenga, to get out of that, you know, robotic mode. So it's definitely, you know, not an easy thing, but it helps you to come out of yourself. I mean, you talk about shyness. I mean, I was one of those people who didn't talk unless I was asked a question, to the point where I weirded people out. You know, I was in that what I call the leftover nerd category group. You know, in school, you got your sports people, you know, you even have your nerds, but I was one of those people that didn't even fit in with them. I was just left over. So so capoeira just kind of pulled me out of that in general. So, you know, I've just kind of spent this whole time really just listening and you know, just developing from what we think is weakness, but actually things that are strengthening us to what's to come next. And that's kind of what's been, you know, happening with me, you know, this whole time, is, you know, things that I think Trove put it best, you know, you don't have to be anything or anyone else. You just have to be whatever it is you turn out to be. You know, if you're a leftover nerd, you're a leftover nerd. I mean, whatever the case is, you are, you know, you are who you are. And once you accept that, things will begin to flow in such a different way. And that's kind of where I am now. And, you know, I feel stuck a little bit because I've been trying to pass this bar exam and it's like it has my hands tied behind my back, you know, quite a bit until I pass it. But, you know, now I'm kind of trying to figure out, you know, how to get that art. Well, not how to get the art back in my life, but just kind of how to blend the different aspects in my life now. And I know one of the things I was thinking about, I know Trove, you asked, was you know, it's like, how do people view capoeira? You know, you say martial arts, people just, you know, they're like, oh yeah, whatever. But I see it as the more cultural aspect of it now. You know, because I've gone on to study, you know, different things, different spiritualities, more so than I did, you know, when I first started. So I'm able to see and understand a whole lot more. And I think that's what people are going to connect to with this more so than even the movements. You know, like I went on the Facebook page when I saw the post, and, you know, I always look at the list of like who's invited to the conversation, you know, type of thing. And I saw people like, you know, Mama Maya, Baba Confense, Baba Elliott, Sawanda, you know, those people that are kind of in that cultural realm. And I think that's what people will be drawn to before you even get to the actual movement aspects. You know, like the drums talk, drums speak, drums are spiritual. It controls everything. The music controls everything. So I, I think for me, even myself, I would want to focus more so on that, the music, the history. I'm definitely going to check out that documentary like early tomorrow, part 1 and 2, just to kind of begin that process. But I get quiet when I'm thinking about all types of things, and even where I see myself, um, you know, going forward in capoeira. And it's just so interesting that I ended up right back where I started. And there's a reason for that. I haven't 100% figured it out yet, but all of the different experiences that I had, the challenges that I had, the last meeting I had, well, Trove already know, but I was hit by a semi truck. And so, I lost mobility for a while, which, had a spiral. So, I don't know, maybe I'm a testament, for people, going forward, that these different challenges, they strengthen you, and they're here to teach you, and to use you as a testimony for other people.
It's funny you said the people that were invited on here. You said Baba Confense and Baba Elliott, and you actually it's funny because Baba Elliott is actually my godfather in Shay.
Really?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was looking at the list, and I haven't ran into you in other arenas.
It's funny because this time I wanted to that was actually my thought, because I was like, you know what? I want to invite Baba Elliott and everybody else, that's just like in the actual aspects of the realms, because it's not just capoeira. When we look at, like, I'll say this first, then I'll say what I'm gonna say. When me and Trovada generally talk, I don't like to always say, all right, capoeira is a Brazilian art form.
Mhm,
I like the recognition. I always say capoeira is an Afro-Brazilian art form.
mhm,
And then also it's like there's other aspects of things that come in that intersect capoeira. If it's like you're saying, it's either dance, music, even when you say different folkloric dances, there's outside of capoeira, there's batucada,
mhm.
there's samba de roda, there's maculele, there's you know I mean it's so many other things that intersect it, so you just can't say it's its own thing.
And I
And
do the Afro-Cuban dancing, and there's so many similarities across the board. Yeah.
even bamba, yeah, a whole bunch of all of those, they intersect so many things. I mean, and it was like, even like going, like the first time I went to Bahia, it was like, all right, I stayed on the Pelourinho, and then it was like, what was it, mostly every day, and I like, it's funny, every day the most American thing I always would see, and it's not there anymore than since the last time I went. But you would always go there, and there was that statue up there on the second floor of Michael Jackson, where of course they don't really care about, every day they don't really care about us was playing. I
Mhm.
was like, oh man. But I was like, okay, what's other things that's happening to this? You got Afoshe over here.
Yeah.
And then you got, oh, here's a house for Candomblé.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I'm seeing all these other things, and I'm like, this is a whole bunch of like a cultural melting pot of a lot of different things. But then when we come back over here, it's like, it's this and that's it. It's like, no, you can't ignore everything else that talks in a conversation with capoeira.
Mhm.
And that was my reasoning for inviting everybody else. Cause I was like, you know what? I was like, I was like, I don't know what Baba Elliott doing. I'm like, I don't know what he's doing today. He already gave a reading for the morning. And let me just invite him and see what he's doing. I was like, he may pull himself from his obi and then do something. I was like, all right. So like, let me invite Baba Confense too. I'm like, let me invite everybody that I could possibly think of that's this would actually interact with, and just and keep that going from there. So that's my goal, to even do that from now on. It's like, even people like like, and I know I'm gonna talk to him even next week. Sawande,
Mhm.
um, that's here, drummer. So Wande is a bad brother. I mean, he. I keep telling him, I'm like, you're like almost like I was like, you're literally almost the reincarnation of your father,
Mm.
because when you put a drum or anything musically in front of him, he is going, it is amazing. But again, those different aspects of these things that make these cultural connections. And like again, I never wanted this to just be always Capoeira in Detroit is the title of it, but there's more than Capoeira in Detroit. This is like our base, but we got everything else that just goes into this whole pot of a lot of different things that we do. So yeah, that's just so funny how like this is a small world. This he said Bobby could feel like, oh yeah, that's that
Yeah,
real everything.
I'm known, but behind the scenes at the same time. It's kind of weird, I'm like one of those people. You'll never see my face, but my name shows up in the credits.
I don't mind being like, extra number 9. I hear you. Like I just know I'm around. That's about it. Cool, cool. Well, to open the platform too, like we always like to do. Um, Anybody, if there's anything that's going on that well, first of all, let me put it this way. Any new accomplishments that you have made recently, I don't care how small they are. And you know what? They aren't even small. It's the fact that you made an accomplishment. I love for everybody to just say it. Don't have to be capoeira. If you're comfortable saying it, cool. If not, don't matter. But this is a platform where we're also making it where we're giving each other recognition about our growth and our achievements. And that's what we're going to continue to do. So I'll open the floor for anybody to just say anything.
Wow, accomplishments. Well, I mean, I have, victories every single day in what I do. I work for a divorce court, and I run into people really at the worst times of their lives. Many people don't have attorneys, they can't afford attorneys, they don't know what they're doing, and they're frazzled, they're upset, and it's a lot of different things going on. So when someone, calls our chambers or, call our court, and they can hang up the phone or walk away from me smiling, that's a victory.
Excellent. Hey, that's a I know it can be like a trying time. I've actually this is like my second marriage, so I know that it's a lot that goes into it. So I congratulate you because there's a lot of energies that you have to deal with on a regular. So whew.
Yes. But the cultural things, it keeps me grounded. Keeps me grounded. Remember, who I am, and, make sure, I don't get lost in, all of these other things that's going on. Um, you know, so yeah, I mean, again, I mean, I think, history and culture has so many other purposes in, everyone's lives.
Anybody else?
I would say, and this is capoeira related. Like I mentioned earlier, I am very shy about my singing. So shy that when I do get up to sing, I forget all the words. I can't even produce sound. It just becomes a whole system shut down when I try to sing. Over the last few months, I've been getting more comfortable singing publicly. Now it's not great, but I am building more of that confidence. So I'm really proud of that accomplishment. Of pushing through that fear and being able to make it to this point.
Excellent.
Okay.
For me, I guess my most recent excuse me, accomplishment was that I actually taught a class last night. I've been, in addition to having this cold, I also have a psoas injury, which makes doing kicks not the easiest thing in the world. So it's been a challenge trying to teach when you can't demonstrate the movements as freely as you'd like. But it's one of those things where you have to think, okay, what can I do within the limitations of where I am with my body right now? And I was able to do a fairly decent class last night, so I'm happy about that.
I was running real quick to go get a kashishi, so I was like, every time after somebody actually said their compliment, I was gonna like, I think that deserves like even saw. Cool.
Uh, uh, um, hmm,
This is gonna be the best one.
I doubt it.
I'm hyping it
Um,
up. I just didn't go outside and shoot the fireworks yet.
I'm trying to think. It's been pretty slow for me, but just being consistent in my own physical conditioning. I've been getting up and going to the gym um, on and off over the years, but recently for the last 2 weeks, just getting up and going right to the gym and doing some conditioning with weights to kind of balance some things out and working on my shoulders, and I had some elbow surgery, so I'm doing some things to help strengthen my body in general. And I guess it's an accomplishment, but it's yeah, it's an accomplishment because this is I don't know, it's an and I'm sore, like I'm very sore, but that's part of the process. So I'm happy that I'm doing that, and I feel more energetic. I feel better, and it's I just trained at home today, capoeira, and I felt much stronger in certain movements than I have in quite a while. So I feel good about that. And then daily I do mobility and stretching like daily. That's almost, if I don't do it, I ain't gonna be able to function. But I'm doing that, and that's among other things. That's cool. And I was undefeated in all elite wrestling, and I'm the champion. So that's cool.
See, my point exactly. I knew it was gonna be good. If you want to, how do I want to say, a further visual, you gotta what? I think it's I forgot if it's on Instagram. You gotta go out and like Trovada working out. He put the guns on the display. You're like, I'm getting there. I'm like, all right, cool. But hey, everything is everything. I mean, it doesn't even have to be the most I want to say it doesn't have to be how society or individuals will say that's a small accomplishment. Anything is an accomplishment. I mean, anything. So I mean, and that's again why I like this platform of what we're doing. I'm loving the growth of what's happening from it. And I know it's gonna open a lot of different doors and barriers for different things as well too. Um, let's see. I guess I'll say something. Well, I'm happy I was able to talk about a herb, to help today. Um, it's let's see. Geez, what's the accomplishments that's happened lately? Um, well, we're working. I'm working with the city on a grant to help the actual to help the group. One of my things, other than like I said, other than capoeira, I I've not to say manifest. I've created other aspects of things to actually help with health. And one of my things that I love to do, even when it comes to capoeira, is I love to always do modified classes. I love them because I have like elders or even individuals that come in and they're like, oh well, they're like, you expect me to do a cartwheel? I'm doing that. And I'm like, oh well, I'm like, well, ma'am, sir, I didn't say you had to do that. However, I was like, I'm confident that I can help you learn something where you will enjoy your game. I'm like, I say like that, a game, because who doesn't like to play a game, a card game or whatever? I'm like, you will enjoy your game. And then, and 9 times out of 10 at the end of it, they're like, well, you know what? It actually wasn't that bad. I'm like, see, I'm like, it was just getting you over the hump of the whole fact of that, so, and, but that's one of my things right now. So we were chosen to be a representative of a grant out of a lot of that we're like out of the 15 individuals that we were given the opportunity to receive a grant. And but it's multi-purpose. It's actually to help the group grow. It's also to offer a health and fitness actual class that will happen 3 times throughout the year for this year and next year. And again, wanting to open the doors for other people to grow as well too. I reached out to TROVOADA too, and I was like, hey TROVOADA, I'd love you to be a part of this because I'm about us doing this. I'm about us growing. I'm about us growing. I'm like, if there's no ifs, ands, or buts why we need to stay here. We are supposed to be here, not ego based, not anything like that, but we are always supposed to be growing, always. And I'm like, I know this would be a great opportunity for Trovada too, to be able to do this as well too, because I want to see all of our groups grow. I want to see all of our groups grow, period. And but how can we do that? Breaking down the barriers that where I'm alone. I don't know I don't know this. I don't have this. Financially, I can't do this. There's people talking against me. There's groups coming to visit. There's people visiting my hoarders trying to put us on the floor. All of these different things happen. It's like, no, 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 no. Not anymore, never again. So, but to go back to that, that's one of the thing I'm working on is a health class where not just they'll have movement that they do, but they'll also learn personal self-defense too, because I also teach that as well. That and also a book bag drive too, which we've been confirmed for that too. I'm like, it's the usual thing that happens, but I'm adding something extra to the book bag drive where the families, not just the kid will get something, but the family will as well. So, and again, that's where I'm like, I don't want to stick into just the realm of capoeira. I'm like, there's many other things that need to happen. Capoeira is just actually a platform that helps to inspire this. So that, what was it told about the other thing? Brazilian Day. Yeah, I'm actually, we're working on bringing the Brazilian Day Street Festival Michigan back next year. We start myself and my wife and help with my old mestre. We actually had started in 2016, and each year kept growing. The first year was 308 people attended. The next year was around like what was it? It was 308. The next year was 724. And then the next year was over 1,158 people. So, and it kept growing, but then COVID hit, so we had to stop. But we're bringing it back next year. And it's a good opportunity because I always love to start a year and then some ahead. So we're working on, our sponsors, our vendors, and working on actually, having our general performances as well there too. There will be because I love the aspect, and to add it to it, there will be a portion of it dealing with the orishas.
Mm.
There'll be a lot of orisha dance, and then a lot of rhythms and things played for that. I've actually been able to learn more rhythms and actually songs for the orisha, actually from Candomblé and then also from Isheshe. So I look forward to doing that as well. And the other thing is the teaching at J. Monroe's Leadership Academy. So which again, Trovada touched on it as far as, when you don't know everything, also you need people. You need people. And like one of my students actually works at Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. And he was like, you know what? He's like, what do you think about teaching there? I'm like, oh, well, I taught at elementary school, middle school, high schools, and did college lectures and stuff like that. I'm like, that's cool with me. So what started off as just being a 3-month trial program, within a month and a half, we were actually featured on Live in Detroit on Channel 4. So they actually came out and did a segment about it. I'm like, wow, I wasn't expecting that. And then she was like, yeah, like, we were in a board meeting and then somebody just brought up the organization and was like, hey, you ought to reach out to them. I'm like, I don't know who this person was, but tell them I said thank you. So, and then after that, our focus is, to have the Brazilian Day Street Festival at the old Tiger Stadium that's been turned into Detroit Pal on Michigan Avenue in Trumbull. So to have it down there. But I always will keep the Brazilian Day Street Festival Michigan in Detroit. It always will stay in Detroit. And then with the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy, after that happened, they really fully saw like, oh wow, we can see what this is actually doing with these kids. And they were like, you know what, we have they do something for detention. What do you think about capoeira being their detention alternative? And I'm like, that would be great. And then that's when I had to pause, and I talking to Trovada. I was like, oh my God, Trovada, I did not want to become the real life Lewis from Only the Strong. I was like, oh no. I was like, oh, I'm just missing the firehouse now. It's like, oh, man. So I was like, you know what? And then they were just like, one was coming in and it was funny. This one came in and she's like, I don't want to do this. And the class is from 6:15 in the morning to 7:15. So to get some teenagers to get up that early, that's something. So, and the one, what's her name? Keely. She came, she's like, I don't want to, yeah. I was like, well, what is she? I was like, I don't know what you did, but you're coming in for detention. What I want you to do, don't think about this as detention. I want you to think about this as something that you may like. Let's just have fun. I was like, let's just have fun today. So I already saw her face. She was like, I don't want to be here. So I was like, all right, well, let me get like these little bags out. And I'm going to teach. I was like, we're going to work on Ginga, we're going to work on Malesi, we're going to work on Cocorinha, then Martello. I'm like, as soon as she started getting the whole rhythm, then she's, oh, okay. Then her frown, it looked like she wanted, like kind of off somebody, but then it changed into like a big Kool-Aid man smile. So she, oh yeah, I like this. And after that, she was like, all right, yeah, I think I want to come back. And then the next following third, she came back. And then after she kept coming back, I was like, so it seemed like you like this. She's like, yeah, it's all right. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to say fully. He's like, yeah, it's all right. So, but then the funny thing, another person came in detention, and it's her sister. And I'm like, okay, what's up with you both? What are you doing in school? And she's, oh no, well, yeah. She's like, I just got in trouble. I'm like, okay. And then she started coming, and then now both sisters are at home training with each other. And this is another way that they're like, they're like, yeah, we like each other, we're sisters. I was like, but I was like, yeah, I get to try to throw a kick at her, and she got to get out of the way. And the other part, I was like, oh, okay, well, all right, it's sisterly love, but but they're able to even grow with that, which was very funny. But yeah, so it went from a 3-month class to a detention alternative, and then the principal approved it. So now we've become a year-round academic program.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's about it.
That's pretty awesome to be about it. That's pretty awesome.
Hey, thank you. I was, like I said, I didn't I just need somebody to make me a Donovan's mix remix now on the Detroit style.
You need a Severio, man. Don't play me a cool.
Right. I don't want no smoke. I don't need a Severio coming in there. Only Santo all day, and then I got to. Oh no, I don't need that.
Like, why don't we shoot him? No, let's play capoeira with him to prove a point. Like, I think shooting him would have proved the point more than the playing with him.
Right. Like, I'm not doing this with this guy.
Right.
No. You know what? It may even be something inside of that. Like, hey, make a Donovan's mix, and then I'll reach out to like one of my childhood friends, Michael Smith. He runs he's creator founder for the Jit Masters. Yeah, like, hey, look, we had to put, it's time for the percolator and every type of Jit music inside of that, make a mix. But yeah, so that's it. But yeah, well, at the we're here. Anything that you guys would like to just say, or any questions or anything, feel free. This is the platform, and then we can call it an evening.
I just really greatly appreciate this space. I didn't realize that this was part 3. I don't know where I was for part 2, but I really love that you all continue to do this and hope to be present at future ones.
Thank you for the opportunity to just, well, you say just right now meet via Zoom, but plan to get out even more. Actually start making this like a mobile thing. So, like going out to possibly like, visiting other groups, and then, going to events and things like that. So this is like, me and Trovada, we're like, really, this is like we're crawling, and we're starting to actually walk a little bit, like way faster, because we always have the different ideas and things like that, or of how we can actually improve on this. And then also we're actually gonna work on that. I was telling Trovada, it was an idea, but I'm like, we'll just do it. We're gonna start having capoeira in Detroit swag. So to even help, so that'll we can actually have that start going and things like that, and then this is just going to help improve on what we're actually doing. So being able to even have like a continuous actual podcast that's a set schedule, to go from there, and even bring in like bring in so many other individuals, like say even one of the podcasts maybe like, okay, well, okay, we have like 3 semester, we have all different teachers and everything on here. It's like, okay, we want you to have like 15 minutes of a platform to actually say, hey, what type of like example, what type of sequence could you say within, somebody could do like in like a 5-minute workout or anything, what would be some of the important movements you say you would want somebody to do, or something like that. So it's not just talking, it'll be like even more interactive. So so yeah. Anyone?
I'm waiting on the invite for the next one.
Well, that sounds like okay, Trovada. So you know what? I'm pulling my calendar up right now. So we gotta make and we can think about it. Let's see. So we did. Let's see. Today is the 30th. So we usually always do these on Fridays. So I don't. July's pretty cool for me. So what's good for you?
I got a wedding on the 14th. Other than that, on a Friday, let me pull my calendar up here. Just give me a second. Other than that, on a Friday, I'm pretty good. Oh, that's June. Let me look at July. Yeah, I'm at 14th. It's a wedding I can't miss because it's my sister-in-law getting married, so gotta be there. But other than that, I'm pretty much good. Yeah, that's the only day where I have something that's like set.
Okay. Let's do 28th.
That'll work for me. Let me add it to my
Just
notes.
after my exam.
Oh, okay.
See?
So we'll be having a congratulatory
That's right.
celebration.
Yes, yes.
You gonna bring the virtual spirits? A toast.
See? Cool. And you know what? Even on that note, we're gonna I'm gonna segue into it. Even send the ashe out. Send the ashe out to you because you already got it. And the funny thing about it is that the biggest part of you already knows that you got it because you walk the walk and talk the talk. So now it's just, putting pen to paper and being like, yeah, I'm done. I'm good.
Yes.
Cool.
All right.
Anybody else?
I just want to say I'm glad I was able to join you. The first two events I missed. I remembered, seeing the announcement, but for some reason was busy or forgot. But this time I definitely made the effort to get here, and I'm glad I did. So
Thank you.
thank you, and looking forward to doing it again.
Thank you, Mr. Bengala.
Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Bengala, to be able to meet you. Well, Zoom, but I know, in the future it will be actually in the live. So yeah. And this is and like I said again, for anybody, I mean, any way, shape, and form that I can possibly help. I mean, feel free, like add me on Facebook, send me a message, anything like that. If it's in like the nonprofit realm or even the business realm of things, I have no problem sharing the information. I have plenty of resources of things just to share. And if I don't know anything, I'm willing to sit down and work with you to actually help you to help. So, so yeah. I think that the main person to end it off well would be Trovada.
Really? Oh boy. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks everybody for showing up. Positive review as usual. And I just think that we are stronger together than we are apart. And that let's make this a continual thing like we've been talking about and just build up our community, even if the community is not all in the same physical location. Build it up and everybody gets stronger. The more individuals get stronger, the group as a whole gets stronger. So let's do it. And Eugenia, you already got it. You step into it. It's yours. You got it. You already know it's good.
Thank you.
CHINWE, you're a natural born leader. Just bring out director CHINWE and just be a little nicer to the camera guy the next time. Poor dude was about to be in tears. But I'm just joking. But you know, the Mr. Bengala, you the man, so you already know that. Mr. Pequenininho, you the man too. And just, you know, let's continue to support each other and continue to move forward. And never forget our so-called small accomplishments. But let's just say, let's never forget our accomplishments, no matter how much we think they're significant and insignificant. They are accomplishments, and we roll forward with a good ashe.
Ashe.
Hey.
All right, everybody. Well, you guys have a great, well, everyone, you have a great rest of your evening and a great weekend. And 4th of July actual just time off. I would say, I don't know, celebrate it. I don't celebrate it like that. You know, but you know, I'll go out and eat and maybe shoot fireworks. That's about it. But other
I mean,
than
that's
that,
really all you got to do. It's just
That's it.
Right.
that's it. I'm like, I'll just do that, and I don't know, watch some anime or
Yeah, something.
yeah. I may jump on Tekken 7. I don't know.
Uh-oh. Oh boy.
There you go.
All right. Well, everyone have a enjoyable evening.
All right.
Do.
Yeah.
All right. Bye-bye.